How impressed were you by their performance?
I must admit that for long stretches of that game last night, I was extremely frustrated. It took maybe 2 more years off my life, and my wife, Ernestine, I'm pretty sure is going to file for divorce today after the way I acted last night. So you apologize to me. I apologize to Ernestine. Sorry. It's just the way it goes. But in the end of that football game, I was extremely impressed because after my Dallas Cowboys blew a 17-3 lead, and by the way, my Cowboys should have won that game by 3 touchdowns. But after they blew the 17-3 lead and they fell behind 20-17, 4 minutes left in the third quarter, this team showed me its character, its guts, its backbone. It showed me why it is going to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. How about that Cowboy defense last night? I think it actually got a little overlooked because of the offensive explosion that we often saw last night. But how about a Super Bowl defense? That's what I saw last night, because from that moment that Tampa Bay sees that lead, Jameis Winston and company had 5 more possessions in that football game. Those possessions went interception, punt, 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 interception. Those 5 drives totaled 10 yards. That's all they gained. The rest of the game, that's almost 4 minutes left in the third quarter till the end of the game. Tampa Bay gained 10 yards. And how about Mr. David Irving, number 95, straight out of Compton, California, and maybe out of nowhere last night? He suddenly turned into Charles Haley and took the game over. I was extremely impressed. I had not seen that. I'd seen little bursts from David Irving, but not like that. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay's receiver, who can be mostly uncoverable, unguardable, caught 0 passes in those last 5 drives, thanks to my Cowboy defense. And in the end, my quote-unquote below-average Dallas Cowboy defense rose into a tie for 4th with your Denver Broncos defense for points allowed in the National Football League. Tied for 4th. That's pretty impressive, and that will get you a ways in the postseason. Which brings me to the Dallas Cowboy offense and Dak Prescott. I'm going to say again what I kept saying last week and what I said before the game. Never in the history of the National Football League has there been more pressure on a rookie quarterback than there was on Dak Prescott last night when he was playing once again for his job at that point with an 11-2 record. And we talked about Jerry Jones last week, and then I saw Jerry, we had to all see him on Saturday, with his man Tony Romo sitting beside him in his box at Jerry World, watching his grandson win the state Texas high school football championship. Tony sitting right beside him eating popcorn the whole game, and it just made me sick at my stomach. It was so disrespectful to Dak Prescott, and obviously Jerry last week reopened the door for Tony Romo to return now that he's completely healthy with that infamous paraphrase of a quote, "I'll know it when I see it," when it's time to bench Dak Prescott. And with all the weight of the Cowboy world on his shoulder pads last night, Dak Prescott opened that game against the hottest defense in the NFL over the last 5 games, Tampa Bay's defense, with 9 straight completions. Dak Prescott went 32 of 36 last night. That's sensational against a defense that had forced 14 turnovers over the last 5 weeks, and Dak himself turned it over 0 times. I thought his execution all night long was flawless. And just quickly, I want to refer to what I thought was the play of the game when they were backed up in jail trying to protect a 23-20 lead. 1st and 10 from their 4-yard line. It was actually 2nd and 5 at this point. And Dak stood tall in his end zone, stood strong, and threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to Dez Bryant on a slant that got them out of jail and on their way to the 26-20 field goal that nearly iced the game but didn't quite, which took another 4 years off my life after that. That offense last night drove me crazy because it committed negative plays that it hasn't all year long. There were 5 of them. There were 3 holding calls. There was a hands to the face call, and there was a botched reverse. 5 negative plays cost them touchdowns. And as you well know, all through, especially the first 10 games of the 11-game win streak, all they did was drive the ball. And I kept telling you, 11, 12, 13 plays. It's so hard to do to go score touchdowns after 13 plays in this league because you're going to make one mistake. Well, they made them last night. But because of Dak Prescott, he didn't make any of those mistakes. He stood tall, he stood strong, and that defense bowed up, and bowed its backbone, bowed its neck, and showed you that it can take this team a long ways. I was so impressed that this team rose to 12-2. That was a make or break game for them to get back on track. Now they're completely back on track. I love this team, and I love this team's chances to make it all the way to Super Bowl Sunday.
How about I was not overly impressed, but I was mildly impressed? Reason for me is that when you look at the Tampa and you look at Jameis, you can't turn the football over 4 times. You can't headbutt a linebacker. And I'm trying to think, and as I'm looking at him doing it, I'm saying, you do realize that when guys run into each other at 15, 20 miles an hour and they get up, what damage do you think you were going to cause by headbutting him? You can't let your emotions get the best of you in that situation.
Obviously, he just said he was protecting his running back. So
how? Doing what? The guy didn't even.
I didn't think so either.
The guy didn't even turn around and point at him because he didn't even know what happened. That's how light of a tap it was.
Yeah.
And in order for Tampa to take that next step, Skip, because I think Jameis has the opportunity not to be very good, he can be great. He must improve on his accuracy, and he got to cut down on these turnovers. I mean, he was high and wide all night. And some of the turnovers, you're looking at him, you're like, well, Jameis, what did you see? Because when they replay it, I'm like, I didn't see none of that. Now, granted, he's in the heat of the moment. There's guys coming at him. But you can't afford to make those kind of mistakes in that situation. Three interceptions, a fumble, a cost. So that's 20 turnovers on the season. 20. Trails only Phillip Rivers. Blake Bortles, and we know what a mess he is down in Jacksonville. He's cost the coach his job. But I will give Dallas this credit. Defensively, is that this is the time of the year, whatever unit that you think is maybe your liability or your weakness, you want to see that side of the football start to improve. And Cameron Irving, the defensive end.
David Irving. Yeah.
David Irving, straight out of Compton.
Yeah.
Hey, he needs to be playing that because he
should be playing. I agree. Yeah.
Well, Tampa's starting tackle was injured, Dotson. Cherilus came in. Cherry came in because they were just picking him clean. It got so bad, they ended up taking him out and putting the backup to the backup end. That's how bad Cherilus was. So I'm going to give them credit. They forced the turnovers. They got 4 sacks. They created 4 turnovers. And normally, Skip, if you're at home, you generate the kind of offense that the Dallas Cowboys generated. You get 4 turnovers. You sack the quarterback 4 times. That's normally a 42-14 shellacking. So they should be a little concerned offensively because they weren't able to put more points on the board. But given the circumstances that Dak has been playing up under, he hears the whispers. He know what Jerry Jones wants to do. He saw Jerry Jones' grandson and Tony Romo Jones watching his nephew play. He saw that. That was all, I guarantee you, it was all over the Dallas TV stations, and Dak saw it. So for him to come out and play, because it's tough enough to play this time of year with so much is on the line, and then you have distractions that's generating from your owner that doesn't really need to be there. That just goes to show you what this young man is made of. So I was mildly impressed, but not overly impressed with what I saw with the Cowboys.
By the way, Jerry Jones told the Wall Street Journal last week that he's actually putting the pressure on Dak for effect, like it's box office effect, like he just wants to entertain the fans by bringing up Tony Romo, that he's doing it just for fun. Baloney, he doesn't. Baloney. You're just trying to weasel out of it. You're trying to spin your way out of it.
Exactly.
And I know Jerry loves box office, and he loves to be in the vortex of any controversy because it makes Jerry the star of the team. But he's having a hard time upstaging the 4th-round rookie quarterback because you keep saying this. The one thing you can do as the quarterback of a football team is you can just go make plays and win games. And it's hard to argue with that. You can't, it closes the door that Jerry keeps opening because you can't What case could you make for Tony Romo starting next Monday night against the Detroit Lions? Now you could make zero case, right?
I never thought you could make a case because if you look at, and everybody wants to point towards 2014, but if you look at 2014, you tell me that Tony Romo throughout that whole season played better in a 14-game stretch than what Dak played.
I can show you 4 games that were nightmares, that were horrendous. And Dak had one bad game to me, a really bad game at the Giants.
Right.
They lost it 10-7, and at the end of the half, a long field goal did hit the crossbar.
Right.
That's how close that game was. And I'm going to say it, and you can laugh at me if you want to, but Eli brought it up right after that game. You people in the media don't understand how hard it was to hold on to that football because it was sloshy wet, because it had snowed in the afternoon, and then the temperature rose into the low 40s. So the ball was constantly wet. They couldn't catch it consistently, and Eli even had an empty hand throw where the ball just slipped completely out of his hand. So I'm going to give Dak a little break here as a 4th-round rookie. I think he had a hard time gripping the ball because I have not seen him remotely that inaccurate as he was against the Giants, and it held them to 7 points. Did he look inaccurate last night to you?
No.
Did you see
it was a lot of check downs, and that's what you have to do against a Mike Smith
but
coach
that's
defense.
fine. That's fine. That's who he is. That's who they are.
No,
that's
but
what he
Skip,
does.
we still don't know how the game would have turned out had Dez held onto the ball. He got stripped. Dak put it in his arms. He got stripped of the ball. So we still don't. Last week in New York.
Thank you.
Even if they hold on to the ball, they go down and score. We're not even talking about Dak and how bad he played, because at the end of the day, it comes down to wins and losses. So he could have easily gotten a win. But you have to admire the kid's patience, because Tony Romo can't be this patient. Because this kid, okay, you want to give me 5, I'm going to take it. You want to give me 6, I'll take it. You want me to take the 2-yard route to Jason Witten, I'm going to take it.
He did.
Tony,
Took a bunch of them.
At some point in time, Tony's like, I can really get this 40-yard bomb in here to Dez. And the next thing you know, the safety is over the top picking the ball. And you're like, Tony, why did you do that?
I've lived it many, many Sundays. I have lived it. So bottom line, you have picked against my Cowboys now about 10 times on this show.
Yeah, a few.
And you're not sold. You seem hesitant.
I said, Skip. Joy, what was the question? Can you repeat the question?
How impressed were you with the
I just
Cowboys?
changed the question. I took it to another deeper level.
Okay.
That was our starting
point.
point.
What do you want me to answer now?
How far can they go in the playoffs from what you saw last night?
I think they can reach the NFC Championship game.
Lose at home? Because they are now in position A to have home field for 2 playoff games after a bye week.
2 teams, if they were to play in the championship game, I would pick over them. I would take the Falcons and I would take the Giants.
You would?
I would.
What happened to Seattle?
I forgot about my picks here. Thank you, Skip.
I thought you were flipping all over the place.
No. You already know. But I'm just saying,
so
you already know.
3 teams now?
3.
3 teams?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, after what I saw last night, I would love a 3rd game against the New York
Giants.
Wouldn't. I would love it.
Do you know what Jack Rabbit?
3rd time is the charm.
Do you know what Jack Rabbit would do to Dez?
With a dry ball in Jerry World, I would love it.
Do you like Dez only catching 1 pass per game?
By the way, Janoris got hurt last night, and I don't know the fate of it. I don't know how it's going to turn out.
You don't seem too unhappy about it.
How can I be?
What you mean, how can you be?
I lost my best cornerback for the whole year. No Mo Claiborne. Maybe he'll be back by then.